Hey, welcome back for another episode of Business Resilience in the New Normal. It's been fantastic so far, and I'm so excited about what we're going to talk today. And I have someone amazing, but I'm going to introduce in a minute. But before, if you don't know me, my name is Flavilla from Gang, and I'm a founder of Three Colors Group. People know me as a brand strategist, but I'm also an international speaker, mentor, do a lot of things, and I have fun doing it along the way. So today I have with me Lorna Bain, sweet and amazing and great at what she does. And I know that she's the managing director of Velo. Lorna, thank you for being here.
Hello. It's so exciting to be here.
But what people don't know is that as to we're always cracking jokes. So we're going to try to
Yes.
give you some great information.
Be serious. Yes.
Be serious about it. So tell us about what Velo is about. Tell us about what you do.
Okay. So Velo is a consultancy that supports and develops managers, leaders, and teams. And through that organization, it's as you know, it's my life's work. It's my life's passion about enabling everyone to be the very best they can be. That's what I wake up and do every single day.
Yes, and you've been doing such a great job. Obviously, I remember first time we met, I was so fascinated by what you were telling me, and I've implemented some of your learnings in the way I run with the team, and it's so important. And I think right now you must be so busy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, well, for the organizations that are, it's been such an incredible and extraordinary couple of months, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And so challenging for so many organizations. And as you know, I work with large organizations and small organizations and lots of different sectors. So the challenges are very different. From a business perspective, but the people challenges are universal.
Yes.
Fear, uncertainty, what's going to happen next, and that's a real call to leaders and support their people in this time. And they've got to manage their business, and they've got to get their business out of this stuff, right? And they've got to look after their customers.
Yes.
It's been relentless.
It's really hard because it's nothing that you can really look into and say that has happened before, because nothing has happened before. I mean, as us being alive right now, nobody has gone through this. We can look into the past and try to see what we can pick up and learn from, but it's a situation that no one was prepared for 2020 to be as rough as it is right now. And again, it's like you have to respond. You have to, this element of obviously no business can survive without people. And at the same time, you want to make sure that you make the right decision so you have a business after COVID-19.
Yeah.
But also, you've maintained that great relationship with your employees, which is something that you are passionate about and you've been doing really well. So maybe, my first question is, how should companies prepare themselves during and after the lockdown?
Yeah, I think the key things that I've learned both within organizations, because as you know, I'm a consultant and I work as a chief people officer as well. The things that I've learned both from the inside and as a consultant. Okay, so the first thing is about communications and being as transparent as you can be and communicating much more than you normally would. And it's so interesting because people are doing that. People are craving connection and there's so much communication going on. And it's amazing because we're not in the office and we don't meet people, but there's so much more communication going on. I think that is the single most important thing is to get out there and talk to people. The second thing I would really focus on is the team. For leaders in organizations, focus on the team around you. Make sure that you're all working together. Make sure that you're consistent. Make sure that you're giving out the same messages, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.
I think those are the two biggest things. But it's so complex, and every day, especially in the first few weeks, every day there was another wave of change. Lots of people on LinkedIn have shown, the change curve, where it kind of goes like this, and then we come out of change. Well, the challenge about this situation is it's evolution. It's forever. We're not going to go back to the way things were. So it's for all of us who've seen other challenges in economic times, who went through the last downturn. Well, it ended. It was a pattern. We knew where it would end. We knew what would happen next. In this environment, we don't know. So learning to embrace the uncertainty has really been key. And being able to use that Californian term, right? Being able to pivot. Everyone's pivoting, and to completely re-engineer your business, your structure, your products, how you talk to people, how you promote your products, all of that. I think, in my experience, has changed just in a few weeks. It's incredible.
Incredible. And I think it's been amazing with some companies that have reacted really well and others that have not reacted, as good as we expected. And I think obviously I look at things from a brand point of view, but obviously you look at things from a people point of view. And it's both of this really matter, because the element of, as a company, you're looking at your turnover, and when you look at people, it's like how many people do actually need to, why should we forecast for what's coming? And obviously people are making drastic decisions and not really thinking about the impact, honestly, articulating it really well. So that, I was talking to one of the managing director, and she was telling me how some people have been made redundant via a group Zoom call. Imagine.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And I remember that thing a few years ago when people were made redundant via text. I mean, no. And I think this is the real test of leadership. In all my experience of working with leaders, this has been the most testing time. Yes. And this is where we've seen some people really step up and some people really struggle. And those that have stepped up, it's a real call. The requirement of leaders is, it's what was always good leadership practice. It's bravery, it's empathy, it's stepping into the conversation. It's having a real conversation, absolutely, grown-up conversation with the people around you. And those, I've seen some amazing examples of leaders who have stepped in with compassion, who have really shown vulnerability, who've really shown their own personal struggle. And I think that's so important. I think that helps everyone else, because then they go, okay, if I'm struggling, if he's struggling, it's okay. If she's struggling, it's okay. If I'm struggling, I feel a bit better about my struggle. I know everyone's struggling.
I've always said that, there's some power, with showcasing vulnerability. And I think people always expect us to be strong, but sometimes you have to say, I can't do this right now, and I need your help. And I was listening to this multi-million dollar company, and she was saying that, she said, like, okay, everybody bring up a solution. It doesn't matter if you're a receptionist, let's talk about it, let's brainstorm. Everybody, what can we bring out to this situation? And if they are really much part of that, that culture of we all can do this together, was very, I thought that was very powerful. That probably leads me back to the next question, which is how can they improve and maintain business continuity, whether or not we're hit by another peak? Because I think the UK has been hit the hardest now, and with relaxing the lockdown, we don't know if it's going to go back up again. So what do you think we should think about when it comes to that?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, what have we learned over the past 2 months? What has worked? It's to do a bit of a kind of an assessment of what's worked, what we learned, what do we want to keep about the way we're working right now. Because there is some really good stuff, like I mentioned before. There's so much more communication going on, so much more empathy, so much more vulnerability. How do we maintain that? Because that's just great for real conversations, and therefore for engagement, and therefore I've seen such an improvement in productivity in lots of different organizations as well. So how do we maintain that? I think that's really important, just to stop and take some time, and what are the lessons that we've learned from the past 2 months? That's the first thing. The second thing is about transparency and openness with your teams, and kind of managing expectations that We're not going to go back to the way it was,
No.
and this could happen again. And to make people comfortable with that, I
Mhm.
think is really important as well, because some people are probably thinking, we'll just go back to the way we were.
Yeah.
Some people are probably terrified of going back to the way we were.
Yeah.
People are terrified of getting on the tube.
Yeah.
So it's really about creating safety. And the only way you can do that really is just talking to people. Never mind. Yeah, company emails are helpful and Slack is helpful and all of that stuff, but just talk.
Talk. Yes.
Have a conversation.
I think we're forgetting that how important it is just to have a conversation, whatever it is in business,
Yeah.
or whatever it is in your personal life. Talk to people. You can't just rely on, especially certain, certain conversation cannot be delivered in a text or in an email. You need to be able to
No.
give this empathy.
Yeah.
Obviously we have a power video right now. We really, it's as much as we can do, so we can adapt to that. But you're absolutely right. Talk to people.
Yeah. And I think I've been amazed how much people have been willing to talk about their vulnerability and their situations. I start most conversations with, how are you? How's your family? What's going on in your house? And I wouldn't have done that in the office. I wouldn't say to someone, how's your family?
Yeah.
Not in the day-to-day event, but now I do, and I deliberately and consciously do that, because I think it creates a connection. So just kind of, and also we're all seeing, you're seeing where I live, you're seeing my home. I think that connection we need to keep, we need to maintain, is really important.
Very, very, very key. And obviously, probably that leads me back to the next question. We're talking about how have you help your clients dealing with this? Because obviously you work for a company, but you also run your own business. So the
Yeah.
dynamics are different, right?
Yeah, they're different, but it's interesting because I absolutely have the best job in the world. I'm so lucky and I'm so grateful that I get to do both things that I absolutely love doing. And it means that I have the perspective of a chief people officer, and I have the perspective of a consultant. In terms of helping clients through this, the first thing I think about occurred to me very early on was how much people in HR teams, chief people officers, are on the front line in this whole situation.
Yes.
So I was very conscious to create a community and get people together and help them connect and reflect and share what's going on. So clients from across different organizations we've been doing that. In terms of practical help, we've been continuing to do our team building work with a focus on the kind of urgency of now, with a focus on creating the future. Helping teams to lift themselves above today, focus on what is still true.
Yes.
about this great organization I work for. Why am I here? Why am I part of this team? Focus on that and focus on creating the future, because teams we all need that. We need that to get us out of bed in the morning. We need that hope to keep us going. And our role at Velo is helping leaders and teams create that for themselves, and then create that for everyone who they lead. And in the context of, it's really uncertain. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know, and there's a lot of stuff that we can't control. But the focus is on what can we control, and what is our vision for the future now, and how do we share that?
Absolutely. And it's always about that, whatever in your life, people feel stress. There's a lot of anxiety because if you watch or listen to the news every day, it can be really overwhelming. And I also say to people, focus on what you can control. Everything else, you deal with it when it happens. Focus on what you can control, the future that you can create, and how can you adapt to it. And the more you do that, and the more you rely on the support of your team as well, your other leaders and managers, then things will work out, and whatever happens, there's always going to be some great learnings to move forward instead of backwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, next question then is really about, again, I think we talk about learnings. I think we kind of touched around post COVID-19 learnings. What do you think companies will learn?
Yeah, I think, there's a few things. We can work in very different ways for many organizations, for many roles. We can work from anywhere. Some organizations have struggled with people working from home in the past, or with flexible working. I mean, really, there's no excuse anymore. We've proven that we can work from anywhere. And I think the other big learning is, certainly from what I've seen, is the level of innovation and the agility, this ability to pivot, is all over our organizations. I think that's a big learning. I've been amazed at how different teams have come up with new products, new ways of doing things, new ways of communicating, and they just get on with it and do it very quickly. So I think this thing I probably talked about forever. If you kind of treat your teams like grown-ups and delegate effectively, they get on with it. And I think that's the big learning. We all have to leverage the resources that we have, and that may be different to what we had before. And I think there's so much innovation and so many kind of clever and compassionate things going on out there. I think it's actually, we'll come out of this eventually in a better place. And I know, some people are really struggling for sure. But we will come out of this in a better place.
Nothing lasts, and I think I totally agree with you, is that even I was having a conversation with Nick Hine on legal aspect. He said, like, do we need an office? That was his first question. People are questioning the need of being in the city nowadays. Doesn't mean that we only need to employ people who live in London. This is a new dynamic. Can we employ people all around the world? Can this be there as well? I mean, this element of just, it's not only women who are pregnant or who have issues who can work from home. Anybody can work from home, and again, it's focusing on the output rather than just the input. And again, and that's what you do. You give people that freedom. Say, okay, this is what we need to achieve, and let them, manage and be in control and take ownership. I definitely agree with you on that one. That's super important. So in terms of you as a business,
sorry, can I just say just one other thing on that? I was just thinking about. Doesn't this also mean there's a huge impact on inclusion? Because if you can, you don't need to hire people in the southeast of England. You don't need to hire in that kind of London bubble. If you're looking for, I don't know, software developers, there's some great software developers in Poland. There's some great software developers in South America. Why not? Because we've proven that we can do that now. So surely, and I long for the day when I stop talking about inclusion, because we're all inclusive. But for now, surely this can have a really positive impact on inclusion.
I'm just thinking ahead for you. Imagine if you are working with a company with team around the world. How would that make it challenging for you as an expert in team management, or do you think that the distance will not affect anything?
I think what's true for good leadership practices will be true in this situation as well. You probably need to dial up the communication element even more. You definitely need to set very clear expectations about what's required, and you need to agree with people. What are the goals? And I think I'm going off at a tangent. I always do this. I think this context, what this context has also shown us, is that we do have to think quite short term. Yes, we need a vision for the future. We need to know where it is we're going, and we need to focus on what are the 3 things that we need to do today
Yeah.
as leaders. You know, what does the team need to do today, and have that conversation, because I think that when people are isolated and, you know, working from home, it can be, and also, you know, for people who've got kids at home, etc., etc., it can be definitely more difficult to focus. So I
Yeah.
think it's about, you know, just being as focused and a bit short term,
Yeah.
in your, right, you know, these are my goals for today. I do this every day. These are like, if I do these 3 things today, as well as, you know, deal with the teenagers and all that kind of stuff,
You like
job
me, I
done.
always set 3 goals of the day. And I've always
Yeah.
used the number 3 as a rule, whatever it is in a cool product, whatever it is in obviously colors, whatever it is in you know your unique selling points. And 3 is a magic number. How funny that we have. Oh, it's not funny, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, yeah. I am a consultant at heart. 3 is the consultancy. Consultants always do things in 3s. I can't count much higher than that anyway.
Exactly. So how about you as a business? Have you been coping with the situation? What have you put in place?
So, I mean, for me, because I've worked remotely
Mm,
for quite a while. I've always worked all over the place. My laptop is my office.
yeah.
So actually for me personally, it's similar. For Velo, again, you know, we all work remotely and we're quite used to working in this
Yeah.
way. I think the things that we have all put in place is just some discipline around the boundaries between work and not work,
Yes.
because I think so many people are struggling with that. And I, you know, I could just, I could go from bed to desk and just stay there and, you know, kind of come up for air every now and then. So I'm
Mm,
quite disciplined about, I go for a walk in the morning, like I'm going out to the office, and then
mm,
I come in the door and I start work, and, you know, having a lunch break and that kind of stuff as well.
yeah.
But the technology is all there, and we're doing lots of team sessions and facilitation on Zoom, and it works really well. It's great, and you can do breakout rooms and brainstorming and all sorts.
Yeah.
So it works. It's not as good as in person. You know, in person is great, but
But,
Zoom is fine. It is absolutely fine.
that's so good. That's so good. I probably like us as well. We've always had this in place, and I always allow people to choose to come to the office or not. And again, so
Yeah,
are really much more focused on what they deliver than just being next to me, because I think it's a wrong
100%.
focus. And I was
Yeah,
talking to Brian about just new telecommunication. You could see the impact on sales guys because then they're focusing more on the right metrics than just anything else. So yeah, my last question is, what did you learn working with Frico as well? It's been a fun journey. So what did you
I
learn?
know. So many things. So many things. Um, um, to always have my call to action ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure, and it's been a real pleasure working with Three Colours Rule. The insight, the expertise, and just the fun, honestly, of working with you guys. Because I made a rule quite some time ago that I only work with people I like and people we're going to have fun with, yeah,
So
it's been an awesome
important.
journey, and we're still on the journey.
Yeah,
We're still on the
we're
journey.
almost there. It's not finished, but I'm excited to look forward to this.
It's nearly there. Yeah, absolutely.
I think you obviously you know how much I love you and how much I think you're amazing. So if you want to stay in touch, be in touch with you and ask some question, want to contact Vilo, what's the best way to reach you out?
So the best way, as of today, is via LinkedIn. Find
Yeah.
me on LinkedIn, and I respond quickly. I'm open to conversations about leaders and teams and how you get your organization thriving
Mm,
in this context. And so I would love to have more conversations. Find me on LinkedIn.
yes, and trust me, she's a very demanded woman. So you better be fast when I tell you that. I'm not lying. She's worked with great brands, big brands, and she's not even bragging about it because I would be bragging. But in my case, I would like to.
Yeah, that would be bragging. You can brag for me. Go ahead.
She's great. I'm bragging enough for her. Yes, but on my side, I'm happy to offer you as well a free brand assessment. You know, figure out exactly what are the the opportunity that you may be missing out, just have a conversation with us. You can obviously reach out freecolorsworld.com and we'll be there to support you. And if you want to stay in touch with me, I'm very active on LinkedIn and so is on other social media platforms. It was a pleasure to do this with you, Lorna. I really enjoyed it and I hope
You
that you
too.
learn from it. And you guys, I will see you next time for the next episode. See you very soon.
Yeah, absolutely.